The world of One Piece is approaching a point of no return. What once felt like isolated legends, ancient gods, forbidden powers, forgotten names, is now converging into a single storm that threatens to swallow the entire era. Among all of it stands one figure whose existence alone bends the balance of the world, Loki of Elbaf. Feared by giants, whispered about by kings, and entangled in secrets older than most nations, Loki is not simply another powerful character. He is a walking apocalypse in waiting. But here's the part that should make every reader pause. The more we learn about Loki, the more it becomes clear that the world has been underestimating him. His power, his devil fruit, his connection to the giants, to Shanks, to ancient myths, and even to the concept of the sun god itself. None of it fits neatly into the story we thought we understood. This is not just the rise of a warrior. This is the emergence of a force that could redefine what the end of the world truly means. Alright, before we dive any deeper and keep this anime storytelling journey alive together, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments so the hype doesn't die down. Now then, let's get right into the discussion. Let's roll. For years, almost everything people believed about Loki's devil fruit has been completely wrong. Most assumed its power was limited to legendary creatures like the dragon Nidhogg, the world serpent Jormungandr, Fenrir the wolf, or other figures from myth. But the truth is far more terrifying. Loki's fruit doesn't merely copy monsters. It gives its user the ability to manifest the world's collective nightmares, in any form Loki desires. And among those forms exists the most dreadful one of all, Black Nika, the embodiment of destruction itself. In mythology, Loki is known as a being capable of transforming into anything. Oda clearly built on this idea, but instead of simple imitation, this fruit grants complete mastery over the power, form, and essence of whatever creature is chosen. That is why the giants believe this fruit carries the potential to bring about the end of the world. The introduction of Loki's fruit stands as one of the grandest in all of One Piece. It is guarded not only by elite giant warriors, the king of Elbaf, and elders like Geralt, but even by the legendary hammer Ragnar. Nothing in the series, not even Luffy's fruit, has ever received protection on this level. And Elbaf is no ordinary land. Its giants live for centuries. Geralt himself has lived over 400 years, and his father likely lived centuries before him. This means nearly 8 centuries of generational knowledge warning of the fruit's danger. At one point, Geralt even attacked Harold, declaring that if the fruit were eaten, the world would truly be destroyed, not metaphorically, but literally. Which leads to the central mystery. How could a single devil fruit threaten the entire world? If its power were only Fenrir or Nidhogg, that would never justify such fear. The answer begins to surface in chapter 1130, when Loki declares, "I am the Sun King who will bring about the end of the world." At the time, his true nature remained unclear. Only later, through flashbacks, do we witness both his kindness and the tragedy that shaped him. Yet one question remains. How could Loki call himself the Sun King when he does not possess the Nika fruit? The truth unfolds gradually across chapters 1136, 1169, and 1170. The legendary Elbaf fruit allows its user to become Nika in a different sense. Not the liberating sun god like Luffy, but Nika of destruction, Black Nika. Both Harold and Loki attempted to reach this state. Harold even consumed the fruit during a moment of lost control. Afterward, Geralt said they were forced to suffer the consequences of trying to become Nika. However, the truth of the events at the castle 14 years ago was buried. The giants were told a simple lie, that Loki murdered his father to seize the fruit. In reality, the incident was far more complex and tragic. This fruit is, in essence, the king of all monsters' fruit, a direct reflection of Loki's mythological ability. It allows transformation into any being tied to Ragnarok itself. Fenrir, Jormungandr, Nidhogg, Surtur, Gom, the armies of the dead. And most importantly, Nika is one of its possible forms. But Loki's Nika is not the joyful white Nika of Luffy. It is Black Nika, the manifestation of the giant's nightmares and the world's deepest fears. This is confirmed in chapter 1147, Our Fears. When the nightmares of giant children physically materialize. Lightning dragons, Jormungandr, Fenrir, and a dark, ominous Nika figure. Now the meaning of the end of the world becomes clear. It is not one monster. It is Ragnarok itself, reborn through a single man. Even as a child, Loki showed signs of this nature. In his memories, he laughed like Nika, but he also burned villages to the ground. He inherited not Nika's liberation, but Nika's destruction. Unlike Luffy, whose power relies on imagination, Loki's fruit grants that power directly. He does not need to imagine. He simply becomes whatever he desires, with complete mastery of its power. This is why Oda still refuses to reveal the true name of Loki's fruit. Because the moment its name is spoken, we will all understand. The world of One Piece is entering its true age of destruction. One day we may witness a Luffy, White Nika, Loki, Black Nika, two sun gods, one liberator, one destroyer. And that is why, since ancient times, the giants have said, if this fruit is ever eaten, the world will end. What makes Loki even more fascinating is his long-standing admiration for Rocksteady Xebec. It's entirely possible he has already surpassed him. And then there's his connection with Shanks. The situation between Shanks and Loki is far more complicated than people realize. Many believe Shanks once stopped Loki, but the more the story unfolds, the more that version feels incomplete. It may not have been a battle at all, but a conversation that changed the course of history. Even Loki's strange reaction to Charlos hints that something major happened in the past that we still don't fully understand. As for Loki choosing to remain bound for so long, that feels like his own decision, and that alone is deeply suspicious. There are simply too many monumental elements tied to this figure. A devil fruit known as the memory of hell. Power rumored to end the world. And a monstrous aura he's carried since birth. After his confrontation with his father, Loki was clearly destined for an enormous surge in power. But the real question remains. What has Loki already done? That makes the world view him as a living legend. What we do know is this. Loki once stood face to face with his own father, Harald. They fought one-on-one, and Loki endured. That alone is not an ordinary feat. Even someone on Gabon's level is believed to be incapable of maintaining a duel of that intensity for long. In the end, Loki did fall, but one thing matters above all. He finished the task that Gabon had started. The key lies in Loki's final strike. It was not just a normal blow. The haki behind it was powerful enough to pierce regenerative abilities and even weaken the very concept of immortality. Gabon himself admitted that the more Loki was attacked, the weaker his regeneration system became. And Loki sealed the outcome with that decisive finishing blow. This naturally raises the big debate. Is Loki too powerful for One Piece? Some believe he is. Others argue that this is simply the natural direction of the story as it approaches its endgame. We can no longer rely on the supernova generation as the primary threat. Characters will emerge who are neither true antagonists nor direct rivals, but powerful enough to stand on equal ground and make Luffy feel challenged. Since Loki's appearance, Luffy's interest in him has been unmistakable, a dynamic that strongly mirrors the legendary relationship between Roger and Whitebeard. And now we have Nika, a being with absurd power who could literally turn someone's head into candy if he wanted. Compared to that, Loki's strength feels reasonable. Massive? Yes. Shocking? Absolutely. But still perfectly consistent with the scale of power Oda has already introduced. Then comes Ragnir, a character whose existence is peak Oda. Who would have imagined that a figure tied to power on Xebec's level would appear as a squirrel? It is not just a twist. It is a masterclass counter-expectation. Even before the chapter dropped, some theories pointed toward animals connected to Yggdrasil mythology. And strangely enough, a squirrel was already on that list. Now Ragnir stands as the perfect symbol of Oda's balance between madness and genius. A character who looks ridiculous, constantly laughing, yet secretly holds enormous influence behind the scenes. He is the one who pushes Loki forward, almost like a miniature Yoda sitting beside a future legend. As for Loki's devil fruit, speculation has exploded. Nidhogg, the dark dragon dwelling beneath Yggdrasil's roots. Fafnir, the embodiment of curse and dominion. Or perhaps an entirely new entity created by Oda. A forest god, a counterbalance to Nika the sun god. All of these theories feel increasingly plausible, especially given the location where Loki is bound. a place that aligns perfectly with Nidhogg's mythological domain at the deepest roots of the world. And here lies the biggest problem of all. If Loki, at that level of power, was truly stopped by Shanks, how many Yonko would it actually take to bring him down? Perhaps 2 Yonko would be required just to contain Ragnir. Another 2 just for Loki himself. So then, who in the world is truly capable of controlling him? If Loki had originally intended to destroy Shanks, then Shanks would have been facing a version of Loki far stronger than the one who fought Harold. A Loki who had fully mastered both his devil fruit and his lethal weapon. Which leaves us with 2 possibilities. Either Shanks possesses power we have yet to witness, or the story of Shanks stopping Loki has been exaggerated all along. And as always, everything circles back to one truth. Oda is deliberately hiding the full picture, letting us speculate, and quietly laughing at us from behind the manga panels. Even the shadow we are shown remains ambiguous. It could be a dragon, a hound, or even a horse. But one thing is certain. It is Zoan. Mythical or not, Zoan. And if Loki undergoes transformation after the severe injuries he has already sustained, his natural durability will rise dramatically, turning him into a war machine that may be nearly impossible to stop. Vav. That's really interesting, Nakama. Big thanks to everyone who stayed all the way to the end. If anything's on your mind or you've got questions, drop them in the comments below. Appreciate you for watching, and catch you in the next videos.